Hey there, I'm Cassidy Cash, and this is That Shakespeare Life. This week, I want to talk to you about something that's been on my heart about people who say to me that they want to be an independent historian, but they're worried. They're worried that maybe it's already being talked about. It is history after all. So they think, what else am I going to add? Or how would I even get started of doing something like that? Am I competing with other people that are already doing it well? If any of this sounds like you, then you're going to like what I have to share with you today. Let's get started right now on That Shakespeare Life. In the independent historian space, there's just a lot of people doing a really good job at sharing history with others, especially in the post COVID era when I feel like everybody jumped online to try and do their work in that sphere. A lot of us found ourselves doing things in online spaces instead of in public physical spaces. And so there's a lot more people out there now who are, quote, doing history. And if you're like me, you're already in these spaces and you're following a lot of these people and you like what they have to say. So if you're considering being an independent historian on your own, you're probably wondering, how do I make my own space here? Maybe you're nervous because you see people being successful writing books, or they have established YouTube channels, or they take people on tours of famous places, or so many other things that you think, well, how am I going to be able to have a voice there? People are already writing about Anne Boleyn, or they've already written a book about Henry VIII or the Tower of London. And you think, what could I possibly add to that conversation? Now, it's true that people have already written great books on Henry VIII, and people have already published cookbooks about what the Tudors ate and things like that. And maybe if you're like me when I first got started, I thought, well, somebody stole my idea. They've already talked about what I wanted to talk about. And then that fear is quickly followed up by being like, but I like that person and they wrote a really good book about that. And if I were to put my idea out there, would I be stepping on that person's toes? And I don't want to do that either. If any of this sounds familiar, it's because they are just incredibly common fears that often hold people back from being excellent independent historians because they're worried about these things. And so, because this matters to me, and because I had somebody come alongside me when I got started and share this encouragement with me, I just wanted to get on and share this encouragement with you. You can build your own platform. And it's important that you hear it from me that there is always room for your voice. And I know it's been said before, but it's completely true. There is always room for your voice. You see, even if someone has already told the story of Anne Boleyn, or I mean, come on, I talk about William Shakespeare every week, and there's a finite amount of information that we can document in an affidavit kind of way about William Shakespeare. I'm not the first person to tell you the kind of history that you learn from me each week, but I do like to think I tell it in my own way, which makes it exciting and new and different. And maybe some of the things I share you haven't heard before. I hope not. That's the goal anyway. But I'm sharing this with you because you can jump into the space of online independent history and share your opinion, your perspective, and your research into things that you find exciting to know about. And there's a community of people that are going to want to learn it along with you. And here's two big reasons why that works. First of all, nobody is you. And what I mean by that is that your voice and perspective are unique. So even if you're telling about a story that's already been told before, I mean, it is history. It's not going to change. Anne Boleyn died the way that she died. And, it's these stories are there. They're not going to be different. But your telling of it means that you're offering something unique just by virtue of it being you that's telling the story. The second reason is that the world is a huge place, and I'm talking enormous. And the reality is that no matter how many times you tell a story, no matter how many times, there is always somebody who will be finding it for the very first time. And when you present your information as if you're talking to that person, I want to talk to the person who is hearing this fact today for the very first time. That's how you build your platform. That's how you build your community. It is people who are attracted to what you're sharing and they are loving learning about this history along with you. And I mean, whether it's talking about the Tudors or Renaissance England or whatever it is that you're excited about, clothes, food, games, crafts, you can share this information and build a community around the things that you love. And when I guess what I'm trying to say is that we're not really reinventing the wheel here. We're sharing things that already exist. So it's not about sharing something that nobody has ever known before, and you're not competing with trying to find something that's never been told. You're just trying to find your voice to tell it with. And that's why on That Shakespeare Life, my tagline is learn something new about the bard. That's because I'm not trying to do anything that other well established historians haven't already done. Of course, people have told about the life of William Shakespeare, and they've probably done it longer and better than how I would do it. But that doesn't mean that my voice doesn't have a space, because it does, and yours does too. Because oftentimes, when you're sharing this history, you're sharing it with the people that haven't learned it yet or that want to learn it in the unique way that you're putting it out there. So that's what my podcast has taught me. But in case you're coming from an education background, I'll give you an education analogy as well. I worked in education for years, and what was exciting about it is I was teaching the same class every single year. And except for a few tweaks here and there, it was the same material too. And every year, there's a whole group of students that are showing up. And for them, all of that material was brand new every time. And every year, there's a whole group of students who have never heard this before. And if that happens in a classroom environment where you're dealing with like 30 kids at a time, think about the internet. There's millions and millions of people that are going to fall into that category and be somebody that's never heard what you have to tell. So you can never tell a great story enough times. Even if you've learned it, you've got the people who are learning it for the first time, and then you've got people who are going to come back and enjoy hearing about it again and again and again. So even if there's tons of people, even if there's historians who you feel like are doing your idea or what you already thought of doing, let me take on this second fear. You don't have to worry about competing with online independent historians. And I know that because it is a wonderful community of experts. And what I mean by wonderful is that we are so encouraging. When you go and you interact with public historians, independent historians, podcasters, authors, and they're working in this history space, it's a great community to be a part of. You will have a line of people who are excited to cheer you on and be happy for you as you build this platform that you're excited about. Because every single one of us knows personally that just like there was a space for our voice, there's a space for your voice too. And we're excited to show you how to join this community and just welcome you with open arms. And when you get in there and you're sharing authentic stories and you're doing good research and you're doing a good job of putting your work out there, you're not competing with me or this person over here or that author over there at all, because there's room for both of you or all of you, however you want to phrase that, if you've got, multiple people. So you don't have to worry about it being a competition. And we'll just be excited to welcome you into the club. So don't let fears of competition or being afraid that you won't have anything new to say stop you from getting out there and fulfilling that dream of being an independent historian if it's something that you think you want to do. And I promise you, me and a whole community of public historians will be thrilled to get in line to help cheer you on and be proud of you and support your work. Now, as I've mentioned, there's a ton of ways to step into the independent historian space. You can write books, you can be a YouTuber, you can help at museums. I mean, there's just so many options. One of the things that I happen to be an expert at is being a history podcaster. And if you would like to become a history podcaster specifically as your path to becoming an independent historian, then I would love to help train you how to do just that. This fall, starting the first week in September, I'll be kicking off my 1 year Zero to Podcasting Mastermind group. This training is designed to take you from nothing but a passion about history to a functioning, successful online history podcast that is earning you money, because let's be honest, a successful podcast needs to have some revenue. Okay. We'll cover that too. But it goes all the way through from I've never recorded anything to I'm running a podcast in 12 months. And it works because it's the exact system that I used to launch That Shakespeare Life. I was trained this by someone else who came along and trained me. And I am taking that knowledge and passing it on to the next group of podcasters that would love to run an interview-based history podcast. I know how to do that. That Shakespeare Life has done that really well. We are ranked the #2 history podcast in the world right now. I think we are only outranked by the Folger, as I feel like we should be, but not for long. We will keep growing and hopefully tie them in the future. But we've done really well. We've done over 300 episodes. I've interviewed, oh gosh, probably at least 400 or 500 guests. You're surprised to know that not all interviews make it onto the podcast, aren't you? But we've talked with a lot of people. I've run a successful podcast for many years, and I am excited to share with you exactly what you need to do to pull that together. So if that's something that you would like to do, I'd love to invite you to participate in this mastermind group this fall. You can check out all the details at the link below, or you can just go to CassidyCash.com/mastermind. We do have an application deadline for this mastermind group. Why is there an application deadline? Because we are keeping this group really super small. We're going to stay in that 8 to 10 range, and I'd really like it to be more like 8 people, just a small group, so that I can really focus on you one-on-one. And I mean, walk with you through every single step, helping you pick out equipment, helping you put your about statement together, helping you record those first episodes, giving you feedback on the sound and the editing, and advice on how to reach out to guests, how to be professional online, how to have a good platform. There's so many topics. In fact, I've outlined for you on the website, CassidyCash.com/mastermind. You can see all 12 months and everything that we're going to cover each month at a time. And you can go and see what it looks like to build a podcast. And I'll be walking you through all of those things. It's called a mastermind instead of an online course because this isn't just information I'm putting out there and expecting you to apply on your end with no feedback. This is actually going to be a personal training course with me and 7 other people. So you and 7 others. And they'll be in there to help you, and you're going to help them. So it's real-time feedback on the steps. So you're not sitting there pressing play on a podcast that you're wondering if it's good before you send it out there. You're going to have some professional coaching and some feedback from fellow podcasters before you publish it. You're going to be feeling good about what you're putting out in there, going, this is excellent. I've done a good job. Let's put that out there. And so all of your questions and all of your doubts happen in our safe space of the mastermind group. And we throw it all out there and we get you really polished, and your public facing platform looks excellent and on point. That's the reason that we structure it as a mastermind group instead of as an online course, because I want you to have that space to ask your real questions specific to your real situation and get tailored help for exactly where you want to go for your goals, because what you want might be different from the next person. So we want to really make sure that your training is focused on you. And so that's why we run it this way. So that's a lot of words, but this is a grand invitation. I would love to see you join the independent historian space, and I would love to see you become a history-based podcaster, and I would love to be the one that helps you do that. Check out CassidyCash.com/mastermind. Get your application in. I would love to see you in my class this fall. That's it for this week. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.